freaking hair. Okay. No more stalling. There's too many things getting in the way. Okay. Yokoso ashitare. Welcome everybody. Welcome back. We've got another story here. This one's actually going to be pretty short, but I think it's a really good one. I think you'll like it. It's really folk-talesy, folksy. Anyway, we'll just get right into it. Once upon a time, during the reign of Emperor Shomu, in the province of Mino, which is way out in the boonies from where is Mino? Okay, so it's not way out in the boonies. Okay. Once upon a time, during the reign of Emperor Shomu, in the province of Mino, it's not called Mino anymore, but it's kind of somewhat removed from the center of Japan and the capital and where all of the important people hung out. But anyway, in a city called Ogawa, there was a marketplace. And of course, they've had all sorts of merchants coming from all over the country to trade their wares and hopefully make a profit, make a living. You know, just regular old marketplace. However, there was also in the region a woman of incredible strength, a Herculean lady, as it were. And she was a hulking, massive woman too. Like she was like, I would imagine if you look up Marisa from Street Fighter 6, I'm imagining she looks probably something like that. Like super duper tall, you know, over 6 feet, just rippling muscles, just like massive, brutish woman, which isn't something you normally associate with women, but apparently this woman was special, as you will see. And she was known by all the locals as the Vixen of Mino, the Fox of Mino. But because she's a girl, she's a Vixen. Vixen sounds so much cooler, doesn't it? Vixen. And now the reason she was called a Vixen, though, was because a long time ago there was a guy in the area who took a fox, an actual vixen, to wife. Now, before you guys all start getting all concerned that I'm trying to foist furry nonsense onto you, I just want to tell you, just hold on, I promise. Nothing to do with furries. Relax. In ancient Japan at the time, they believed that foxes were not only, you know, just cute little canine-ish animals. They believed that foxes were oftentimes very spiritual, very magical beings, very powerful, and they could transform into other people and other things to deceive humans. And because foxes are also very, very pretty animals, just like in the West, there was this association with foxes and beauty. So foxes could very often transform into very beautiful women to lure men away, to steal something from them, or to kill them and eat them, or what have you. I guess sometimes the foxes were nice and good foxes. In this case, what happened was a man took a fox for his wife. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't, don't know. But regardless, this Vixen of Mino, this big hulking hulk of a woman, was actually 4 generations removed from this man. So she was a descendant of this man and this fox yokai spirit. Now it's said that this woman was so strong, she was the equivalent of 100 strong men. Like she was a beast of a woman. And so this woman actually lived really close to this marketplace in Ogawa. And what she would do is whenever merchants would come to sell their wares and buy and trade and do what merchants normally do, she would actually waltz into town and she would beat up some of these merchants, take their stuff, and that's how she made her living, as it were. That's how she got by. Now, there was also, at the same time, another woman in the province of Owari who was known for also being extremely, extremely strong, like unnaturally, superhumanly strong. Another Herculean heroine, let's go with it because I like the alliteration. Now, this woman was different from the Vixen of Mino because she wasn't a hulking mass of a woman. She was actually very, very small, yet still very, very strong. And the reason she was so strong was she was actually the daughter of a traveling priest, of a Buddhist monk by the name of Dojo. And instead of being 4 generations removed, she was only 2. She was this man's granddaughter. And apparently that gave her some sort of special superpower, so she was super duper strong. But this isn't the only story where we see her, so keep her in mind. The woman of Owari. That's how you should remember her. So this woman of Owari hears about the havoc that this Vixen of Mino is causing all of these poor merchants, and she goes, you know what? I'm going to test out my strength against this brute, this evildoer. And so she gets a boat together. She packs it with 50 clams, I guess it was, some kind of a clam. I don't know if she's going to sell the shells or the meat or what it is, but she gets a bunch of clams, puts them in a boat, and she also prepares 20 whips made out of a vine called kumatsuzura, which I looked it up, and in English it's called pigeon grass or something like that, because apparently pigeons are supposed to eat it. I don't really remember. I looked it up in Japanese. But it's this thick, strong weed-like plant that apparently you can fashion together into a whip, and it's got like, on the ends of it, it's got kind of these small burrs with spikes on it. So she fashions 20 of these whips and also puts them in the boat, but kind of hidden so they're not obvious. So she takes her boat and she sails over to the marketplace of Ogawa, and sure enough, the Vixen of Mino is there to greet her. And of course, as the woman of Owari, the small woman of Owari, is trying to sell her wares, the Vixen of Mino comes on and tries to take them and won't let her sell anything. And the Vixen of Mino looks at the woman of Owari and says to her, kind of in a very belligerent way, probably looks her up and down, just trying to size her up because she's a small lady, right? So she's not very imposing. But she kind of looks at this woman and says, "What the hell kind of woman are you doing coming around these parts, Missy?" I don't know if there's a Missy, but the woman of Owari doesn't answer her. Not a word, says nothing. And so the Vixen of Mino is kind of annoyed. Like, how dare you not answer me? I asked you a question. Where are you from? Why are you here? Woman of Owari says nothing, just maintains this dignified silence. 4 times the Vixen of Mino asks her, "Where are you from?" And each time the woman just doesn't say anything, not a word. Until finally, on the last time, the woman of Owari says, "I don't know where I come from. I can't seem to remember." Just being kind of a brat about it, which, fair enough, like, this Vixen of Mino kind of deserves it. And so now, the Vixen of Mino is pissed. She's really annoyed. So she decides that she's going to teach this little itty-bitty nobody woman a lesson. You don't mess with the Vixen of Mino, girl. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm bad at this. So she puts up her dukes, and she gets ready to just deck this woman right in the face. Like, how dare you? When all of a sudden, the woman of Owari, with one arm, grabs the Vixen of Mino, both of the Vixen of Mino's hands, and with her other hand, grabs one of these 20 whips that she's got made out of pigeon grass, and she just starts thwacking her, boom, just smacking her as hard as she can. And eventually it gets to a point where, again, this is going to be a little bit gross, but some of the flesh gets stuck onto this whip, and as soon as it gets stuck, she throws one away, and she grabs another one, she starts hitting her again. Boom. And this process repeats multiple times. She's just smacking her with these really stinging whips that probably hurt a bunch. Obviously, there's going to be blood, and it says niku. Specifically, the word that it uses is niku, which means flesh, means meat. So, like, this is not a nothing thrashing, This has gotta hurt. And she gets through about 10 of these whips, just thwack, 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 throw, thwack, 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 throw. Gets through about 10 of them before the Vixen of Mino finally goes, "Okay, I'm sorry, I give. You were in the right, I was wrong. I've done something terrible, and I'm terrified. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to cause you any problems." And at this, the woman of Owari just kind of glares at her. She stops, but she just kind of glares at her and looks dead in her eyes and says, "From now on, don't you dare make your living by stealing from other people ever again. Never again. And if you don't stop, and I hear about it, I will come here again, and I will kill you. I will unalive you. Your life will be forfeit." And with that, she didn't say another word, and she went home. No other words. What a badass woman. Holy cow. Whew. Yikes. Is it hot in here, or is it just me? Actually, it is actually hot in here. But from that day forth, the Vixen of Mino never came into the marketplace ever again. She stopped stealing people's stuff, and wonderful. And all of the merchants were able to buy and sell their wares, and everybody got along, and things were great, thanks to the woman of Owari. And thus, it is said that from this instance, the woman of Owari was in fact stronger than the Vixen of Mino. Okay, and that's it. That's the end of the story. Really short one, really folksy, really like it. Again, this isn't the last we're going to see of the woman of Owari. She's actually in the next story too, and she's great. I think she's awesome. I really like it. I suppose if there's any cultural context to put this into perspective, Japan was a patriarchal society. Like, it just was. Men were the ones who were in charge. Men were the ones who were considered the more important of the sexes. But if you look at Japanese history, again, women were considered, in a sense, more valuable than men. You could use them to further your own ambitions in court. You could get your daughter to marry up into a higher status family. But also, some of the most important works of literature, like the Tale of Genji and the Pillow Book, were written by women for women. You've got these stories of these Herculean, super strong women doing some crazy, awesome things. And you also have the most important god in their pantheon is the goddess of the sun. And so, yes, while Japan was a patriarchal society, it does seem like, women weren't nothing, at least to the general populace. Like, women were important. Like, they had a certain level of respect for women. And I find that very interesting. And I very much like that. Way to go, ancient Japan. Anyway, that's going to be it for now. Again, this one's really short. What else do I say? Thanks for watching. Ito katejike no koso haberi kere. And hopefully, we will see you in the next one. For part 2 of The Woman of Owari. Bye-bye.